Assalamu alaikum and welcome. Across the streets of Paris, the markets of London, and the quiet towns of Germany, a quiet transformation is taking place. It's not political, and it's not loud, but it's powerful. It's the rise of Islam in Europe. For decades, Islam was seen in Europe mainly as an immigrant faith, carried by families from North Africa, the Middle East, Turkey, and South Asia. But something new is happening today. It's not just about migration anymore. It's about Europeans themselves, born and raised in secular societies, who are discovering Islam, embracing it, and finding peace in its message. As of 2025, Islam is now the second largest religion in Europe, home to more than 25 million Muslims. From France to the United Kingdom, from Germany to Spain, the Muslim population continues to grow, not only through birth rates, but through conversion and renewed faith. And behind each number, there is a story, a journey from confusion to clarity, from emptiness to purpose. But how did this happen? How did a continent once deeply Christian and later proudly secular become home to a growing Muslim community that shapes its culture, politics, and identity? Let's start with history. Islam has a much deeper European presence than most people realize. From the Moors in Spain, who ruled for nearly 800 years, to the Ottoman influence in the Balkans, Islam has long been part of Europe's story. Cities like Granada, Sarajevo, and Istanbul still echo with that history, where mosques once stood beside cathedrals and cultures learned from one another. But the modern wave began in the 20th century, after the World Wars, when millions of workers from Muslim countries migrated to help rebuild Europe. They came from Algeria, Morocco, Turkey, and Pakistan, bringing with them not just labor, but faith, family, and tradition. At first, they were seen as temporary guests. But as decades passed, their children and grandchildren became citizens, doctors, engineers, artists, and scholars. They built mosques, opened schools, and began to shape a new European Muslim identity. Then came the 21st century, a time of change, challenge, and reflection. Europe grew more secular, but at the same time, more people began to search for meaning beyond material success. Amid a world of distraction and uncertainty, Islam's simplicity, belief in one God, clear purpose, and structured daily worship started to resonate. For many Europeans, Islam offered something they felt their modern lives were missing: peace, discipline, and connection. Take France, for example, home to the largest Muslim population in Western Europe. While Islam has faced intense public debate there, France has also witnessed a rising number of reverts, especially among young people. Many describe their journey as a return to spirituality in a world that had lost its moral compass. They found beauty in the Qur'an's message of justice, humility, and balance, and in the unity of the Muslim community. In the United Kingdom, Islam's growth has followed a similar path. Second- and third-generation Muslims are no longer outsiders. They are proudly British and proudly Muslim. And what's more remarkable is that every year, thousands of native Britons take the Shahada. Some are drawn by Islam's logic, others by its peace and discipline, and many by the example of Muslim friends who lived their faith with sincerity. In Germany has also seen a quiet but steady rise in conversions, particularly among women. Many who once identified as Christian or atheist describe discovering Islam as finding clarity after years of confusion. Through community centers, interfaith events, and online learning, they're joining a faith that emphasizes compassion, charity, and order. But it's not just Western Europe. In Eastern Europe, countries like Bosnia, Albania, and Kosovo already have deep Islamic heritage.
After decades of communist repression, a spiritual revival is underway. Young Muslims there are reconnecting with their roots, studying the Qur'an, and building bridges with their brothers and sisters across the continent. But still, this growth has not been without challenges. Islam in Europe is often misunderstood, framed by politics, fear, or stereotypes. Media narratives sometimes focus on conflict instead of coexistence. And yet, despite the pressure, Islam continues to spread, not through force or influence, but through curiosity and conviction. It grows one heart at a time. Ask any new Muslim in Europe why they converted, and you'll hear a familiar story. They were searching for truth. They wanted something real, not rituals without meaning, not materialism without peace. They found in Islam a complete way of life, one that connects the soul to the Creator and gives every action a purpose. For many women, the decision to wear hijab becomes a statement of empowerment, not oppression, a way of reclaiming identity in a world that constantly tells them who to be. For many men, Islam offers structure and discipline, guiding them toward responsibility, family, and faith. And for youth growing up between two worlds, Islam offers balance, a moral compass in a society that often feels lost. Today, Europe's mosques are not just immigrant spaces, they're multicultural hubs. You'll find Arabs, Turks, Africans, Bosnians, and native Europeans praying side by side. During Ramadan, the streets of London, Berlin, and Paris light up with community iftars, where Muslims and non-Muslims share meals and conversations. Islam is no longer an imported faith. It's becoming part of Europe's cultural fabric. Of course, challenges remain. Islamophobia, political tension, and misinformation continue to test Muslim communities. But every generation of Muslims in Europe grows more confident, more educated, and more engaged in civic life. They are artists, teachers, athletes, and leaders who represent a new vision of what it means to be both Muslim and European. And through all this, conversions continue. From scholars and scientists to ordinary citizens, thousands every year choose to recite the Shahada. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Their stories may not always make headlines, but together they tell a powerful truth, that faith is alive in Europe, that despite decades of secularism, the human heart still seeks connection with the divine, and that Islam, far from fading, is quietly flourishing. As the call to prayer echoes across European cities, from the historic mosques of Sarajevo to the new prayer halls of London, one thing is clear. Islam's presence here is not temporary. It's part of Europe's past, its present, and now its future. For some, this rise sparks debate. But for those who have found peace in Islam, it is a sign of hope, proof that truth cannot be silenced, and that hearts will always find their way back to their Creator. And as Europe continues to change, Islam reminds it of something timeless, that beyond borders, politics, and ideologies, what truly matters is the human search for purpose, peace, and faith. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.